Welcome back to the 12 Days of DFIRmas. Today's episode is a special one. I'm joined by Becky Passmore and Stacy Eldridge, two incredible leaders in the digital forensic community where their careers span decades of real-world investigative experience, education, and mentorship. Becky and Stacy are both former FBI forensic examiners with expertise across mobile, computer, and digital evidence analysis. Over the years, they've worked some of the most complex cases, helped shape forensic practices, and dedicated themselves to teaching and supporting the next generation. All right. Well, welcome to the 12 Days of DFIRmas. Thank you so much for joining me. I have Becky and Stacy here. And before we jump into all the fun details of your career, can you tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you got started?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much, Amy, for having us. This is very exciting, this exciting time of the year. But my journey into digital forensics was an accident. I always say not purposely went into this career, but it's been the best decision of my life. I knew I always wanted to be in law enforcement, but I was scared of being a cop because that takes on a whole nother role of responsibilities. So when I went to work for the FBI, I entered on duty as a file clerk. And then that was in 1997. And then I started back to college in 1998. And my goal was I want to get my degree and apply to be an FBI agent. And I ended up on the computer analysis response team once I finished my bachelor's degree in information technology. And once I started in the field of digital forensics, I knew I didn't want to do anything else.
Oh, awesome. I feel like I also kind of like tripped and fell into the industry. I was not seeking out digital forensics when I started.
And then for me, I really joined the FBI on a whim. I had no plans of law enforcement. I thought I was going to go into the Air Force, but I never got around to that because I got a great software development job while I was in college full time. So layoffs were coming, applied for a job at the FBI, got in, and then that transitioned just from normal computer work because I'd always have loved computers, technology, software developer, did a lot of that. So it was a natural move to just kind of progress to the next hard thing. I don't know why, but I thrive on doing the difficult thing and figuring things out. So that's what attracted me to digital forensics, and that's why I'm still in it 20 plus years later.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I always felt like I gravitated towards everything that my family didn't do. So I grew up on a dairy farm. Everyone's in the medical field, and I was like, tech. It made no sense. So I can definitely appreciate that for sure. Do you? So you both have like different niches in the industry. So Stacy, you do a lot of like mobile devices. Is that right?
Yes.
So what kind of
I really
gravitated towards that?
It was really sparked by a casework and then growing my business. One of the most difficult things about having a business is deciding where to put your focus. And when your focus is everywhere, it's really hard to attract the right clientele. So I noticed from a few cases coming in, the ones I enjoyed the most was the mobile forensics, specifically the iPhone stuff. And then it just became easier to market that from a business perspective. And I also enjoyed that. And then there was one specific case where being able to dig down really deep into the artifacts, dig through the databases, get the blobs out, and do more than just relying on what Celebrite parses out or any other tool parses out, that made a big difference in the case. And the more I do this, like every time I'm working a case, I'm like, gonna have to manually do this because the tool is not parsing it out to give me all of the data. It gives me enough to get a hint to get started, but it doesn't give me everything I need.
Well, I bet the software engineering background helps a lot with that then.
Yeah, I can think differently, think backwards, and kind of work through it differently than maybe some other people do.
Yeah. So you both own consulting firms, right?
No? Yes.
So how did your backgrounds prepare you for your own businesses? I feel like that's like, I know from a business owner, I feel like I don't think anything really prepared me. Before I took off, I was like, I thought I knew what I was going to do, but no.
You think it's going to be so easy. At least I did. I thought it would just be like, put a social media post out there and then I'd have a business, clients flocking to me. And that is not reality. So
No.
I had a lot of trial and error.
Oh my gosh.
getting it.
That's
but I'm here.
Every business owner. Yeah. And I feel like every single day is a roller coaster.
Yeah, you just never know, right? And again, it's like, how do you balance that with like work coming in, work not coming in? How do you balance it with everything else that you have going on? So I would say, again, it was an accidental situation. A lot of my things are opportunities. I call them opportunities. And
There you go.
my thing was, a lot of people wanted to know who did this, like who can do this kind of work. And so because of people asking all the time of someone doing this kind of work and providing services, that's again why I thought, well, this would be a good opportunity to share my expertise and with those who are asking for it.
What was was there like a specific case or situation that was presented to you that made you like be like, yes, I'm gonna help this person, I'm gonna start my own business?
I think it's seeing in reality what some of the defense experts out there are presenting to their counsel, their defense attorneys, realizing that they may not be fully doing the justice that is deserved by understanding what forensics is. I mean, I specifically had a case where there was a defense expert that he didn't understand what digital evidence was and, you know, the type of media that he was looking at. And so he, in my opinion, he wasn't doing due diligence or justice to the defense side of the house. So just knowing that there are people out there that think IT and technology are the same thing as digital evidence. So I would say that is what led me to say, you know, let me show you what real forensic expertise is.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So did you all work together prior to, well, how did you all meet, I guess? I don't know if I know this story.
We met at FBI training. So when you join the CART program, you have to go through like 1,000,004 classes to get certified. And so we kind of started at the beginning. So we both started at A+. That was the first class we went to 2 weeks down in Dallas. And then we kind of stayed on track with training together. Yep. And then, you know, it was just kind of, I don't think we ever actually worked a case together, but it's one of those things. It's still like, well, what are you seeing in this case? What are you seeing? Like, what would you do with this sort of stuff? So we definitely kept in touch over the years. And then even when I wasn't in the FBI anymore, we were still following each other on Facebook and stuff, keeping up with each other.
Were you guys in different units completely? Like different states, different like?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
I was in Nebraska and Becky was in
Arkansas.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So not even close.
Nope.
And quite honestly, when Stacy went from Nebraska to, was it South Carolina?
Yep. And I was like, can you remember the order of everywhere I went?
And then was it to Virginia?
Nope. And then I went to Los Angeles. And then I went to Virginia.
And so she went to Virginia originally. I mean, after all of the different field offices that she worked in, into the training program.
Yep.
And my last 3 years was a training program coordinator, but I was still assigned to the Little Rock field office, but I traveled back and forth to Quantico, Virginia, and was the training program coordinator. So our jobs always crossed over each other. Like we always were doing very similar things, whether it's the investigations in the field or back at headquarters training, going through the training program and helping other people become forensic examiners.
Oh my gosh. So you bounce around to a lot of different field offices. Which one was your favorite?
I think mine was probably Columbia, South Carolina. It was just like that perfect moment in time with like the people that I worked with, the cases, and not being landlocked, so I could like drive to the beach. So that was nice.
Oh, that is nice. Yeah. Tropical weather will always have a spot in my heart.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so you all didn't work directly together. So how you have a podcast? How did this come up?
Yep.
I need to know.
Whim.
I was going to say, Stacy called me and said, "Hey, you think you want to do a podcast with me?" And I'm like, "I love that idea." That's how it started.
Oh my gosh.
And then was it like a week to 10 days later? I don't even know if it was a week. We like recorded the first episode. We were just like, bam.
That is
And we
fast.
said Wednesdays at 8:00 we record, and there were some nights on Tuesday evening we're like, what are we talking about tomorrow? And we would
Especially in the
be putting
beginning,
something
yeah.
together. Yeah. But now we do a lot ahead of time now, so that helps us.
Oh my gosh. I could not do that. I tried to do that maybe once, twice with like podcasting in the past, and it was a total disaster. I need a plan. I can't do it. I need a plan.
Yep.
Well, you know, you start out, you don't know what you're doing. You have this idea of how it's going to go. And
did you all have
you can kinda
experience
tell
with like
that.
podcasting before, or being on a guest podcast?
No.
Or
Well, I've been a guest a couple times, but
it's very different when you're setting it up on the other side. It's very different.
Yes.
we just felt we had things to say.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what is your tell everyone what your podcast is about? Like, let's
Yeah,
get into
so
it.
we are Parsing the Truth, one bite at a time, and we are the true crime podcast-ish that focuses on digital evidence in today's crimes.
Yeah. And we chose Parsing the Truth one bite at a time because we feel passionate about making sure that people understand that in digital evidence there is truth. And we want to make sure that all the truth is pulled out, and understand that yes, you can get trained on a tool, you can write a report, you can understand the data from this iPhone 14 that's sitting in front of me, but maybe the iPhone 16 is going to be something different, or the iPhone XS is going to be something different. So in other words, not relying solely on your tools, not relying solely on your output of whatever that tool says, but like understanding the artifacts, understanding the concepts, understanding the processes, the methodologies, and that in totality is the truth.
So is it pretty product agnostic then? Like what you're discussing? Is it just the cases
would
that
say
you're
so.
discussing, or
Yeah, 'cause
methodologies?
we're talking more about what was discussed in trial. So what data did they present, and what does that mean? We try really hard to never attack the person on the stand, because
Good.
everything that we're doing is meant to be a learning opportunity. And sometimes the stuff that we know as an industry has changed over time. And so we started off with some really old cases. And so it's really easy to sit here and be the Monday morning quarterback, but it's like, okay, this is what they said. What can we learn from this?
Okay. So what is one of your favorite cases that you talked about?
Mine's going to be BTK Killer.
Yeah, that was a good one.
And the reason why BTK Killer is one of my favorite is because it happened while we were going through training and becoming certified, and we were fresh examiners. And once it was solved, and it was the first well-known case to be solved with digital evidence, our CART team, our computer analysis response team, got to listen to the lead investigator, Randy Stone, tell the story from his own words at a conference.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was so fascinating. And he was such a great storyteller about how it happened. So when we got together and we were like, let's do the podcast, and let's one of our first ones be the BTK Killer, we did it. And then Randy Stone reached out and he was like, you got some of that right? And he didn't get some of that right. And I was like, okay, would you like to be a myth buster on our podcast? And he was like, sure. And so he came on and he told us, because people wrote books about the BTK Killer and they didn't have the facts straight about how it happened.
Oh my gosh.
And so it provided us an opportunity to interview him and learn ourselves about what was said in the media, what was said behind scenes, and what was said in books that was truthful and not truthful.
So what was the most surprising
still have
myth
people
that he busted?
I was going to interrupt and say, we still have people come up to us and say like, oh, that's not right. And it's like, well, this is what the person who worked the case said the evidence said. And maybe part of the problem is sometimes we have to kind of summarize some of the stuff at the high levels, but people still think they know what was said, even though they didn't work the case.
Yeah. What was the biggest myth buster that he busted was, when he was talking about when they got, I would say the whole part about what each person's role was, and actually the floppy disk came to him, and he was pulling up the metadata, and he was reading the metadata, and he had people all around him watching him. And when he spoke the guy's name and spoke the church, he said, I'm still reading the metadata, and I turn around and there's no one there. They'd all had scattered to go find more information about Dennis Radar and the church and all that. And so where a lot of people say that, someone else came up with the name, someone else came up with the church, no, it was in that moment where he was reading it off of the floppy disk metadata that it was revealed.
I laugh because I feel like every digital forensic analyst knows how that feels, like that scene that just was painted. Like everyone's waiting, and you're like,
the pressure of people being behind you, watching you try to type, and then you can nothing works. You can't do it right because people are watching.
I swear, I know how to spell this. Your fingers never work across the keyboard. You're like,
yep.
Or you try to plug
time
a
for
USB
reboot.
in.
Everybody's waiting on me.
Yeah, you plug the USB in. You're like, sorry.
Right.
Oh Lord. Yeah. No, I hated working out in the field and having people wait on me, and I was just like, this is a lot of pressure. I know what I'm doing, but I also can we all not stare at me? I need a moment. Was that also your favorite case too, Stacy, or did you have another one?
I really liked that one. But I think Casey Anthony case was good too, because again, another case where we learned so much about the behind the scenes of how this stuff went down. And then we learned all about the defense expert, which we had no idea even existed because he didn't testify. So we got the inside scoop from him too.
Oh, was he on your podcast as well?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Larry Daniel.
Yeah.
So
he was in the behind the scenes, and he was observing and viewing and listening and providing strategies and conversations back to the defense side of the house based on what was going on. And the other thing that we learned from that was that the defense subpoenaed the same the state's same subject matter experts. So the defense subpoenaed all the experts that the state subpoenaed, so they became his witnesses as well.
Wow.
Yeah, everybody.
Wow. Yeah, crazy. I have not actually listened to that one, so that's why I was like, oh, is he on there? So I'm going to have to listen to that one. I'm going to add it to the list. I haven't caught up. So the three of us met at a conference this summer. So, which is so wild. I was connected to everybody on LinkedIn, but I never hadn't met you in person. And so you all gave me your little sticker for the podcast. And I was like, that was my flight back, by the way. I was like, well, I'm going to see what this is all about. And I was really excited and happy that I ran into you and that I learned about the podcast. I thought it was really cool. So what were some of the, do you have folks who reach out to you and put in requests for specific cases that they want you to cover?
We do. And we probably have a list of about 10 that we're going to try to get to next year. But yeah, or Stacy and I will come across a case that happens on Dateline or 2020 or 48 Hours. I watched the 48 Hours one last night, and I was like, ooh, that has a digital evidence component to it. I wonder who did it, So anyway, but yeah, we have people reach out. We get emails, we get LinkedIn messages. Hey, you should check out this case, and here's the person that did it. So I know that happens to me often.
So how do you shortlist it?
When? No.
I mean, I guess you don't have to technically shortlist it, right? Because it's just like a content you can create, but I feel like it would be hard to choose.
Well, scheduling is part of it. How big is the case? How much research are we going to do? Like we really want to do Karen Reed, but there was like 2 trials, 3 experts. So it's a lot to digest. And and the other thing is we don't want it to be a 52-part episode of Karen Reed, which I would be inclined to do, but I think we might lose some people. So we got to figure out how to get down to the most important facts and not every little thing that I would like to discuss.
There was so much digital evidence in that case, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many cases. I mean, the Brian Kohlberger case, the Murdaugh murders, the Karen Reed case. One of my good friends did the Boston Marathon, where he was the CART examiner that testified in that trial. So and then there's one out of Minnesota. But again, it goes back to what Stacy said. If we have to read on if we have to read the transcripts of the court testimony, and we have to, like she said, filter that down so it doesn't become 72 episodes.
That's an art in itself.
I know, right? It's how much time do we have this week to apply to that? So the mushroom murders, the ones we just finished out, that was a 4-part. We had an interview with the Dr. Sorrells. Well, we had to do his episode 2 weeks before we worked on the other, so it is definitely strategizing and scheduling and researching and reading.
And it's funny because sometimes we bring on the guests afterwards. Well, often. And so we've said whatever we said about publicly available information, and then they'll come on and they'll give us the other stuff. And we're like, oh, and sometimes we have questions about the stuff that are like, well, what about this? What is the real deal behind this? Tell us more. And then sometimes we have no idea that they're going to share any of this information. That's very insightful.
That is. So like, what is your proudest moment of having this podcast?
I know my proudest moment is getting phone calls or text messages or emails. And I'll say this, there is Greene County Sheriff Office here in Arkansas, Greene County Sheriff's Department in Arkansas. There's a investigator that started listening to Stacy and I's podcast, and he reached out because he had a very challenging case. And so just knowing that we have people out there listening and want to reach out and ask questions, I would say on a weekly basis, just getting the people to say, I listened to your podcast. It's great. Thanks for doing that. I would say that's probably the most proud and rewarding for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I was pleasantly surprised when John Bradley agreed to come on to the podcast to talk about Casey Anthony, because that took a lot of back and forth to get him to feel comfortable to come on.
I bet. Yeah, it's like it's definitely navigating like a tough conversation. Oh my gosh. Well, you all have experience with that, right? Like when you interact with, all sorts of different cases and investigators in your career, and even the clients that you're dealing with now, right? Talking to them, making sure that they feel comfortable with whatever you're doing. I do love the fact that there's the true crime aspect of it, and the fact that you're folding in the technical nuances. I think that is so important, because as a community, it's a very different twist of what other podcasts are doing, right? And I love that.
Yes.
And I think it gives people just a different way to absorb the information, rather than just like reading a blog or listening to a webinar or something like that. Like they are seeing it as it unfolds. Like, how is this related, and how is this, like, the crime unfolded and how it was discovered. So I think that is actually really, really cool. At least that's what I liked.
And I would say, going off what you said, is us being able to educate people that don't understand those terms, don't understand the technical part of it, and letting them know how these things work. Through our podcast, we're able to break that down because we have the podium to do that.
Yeah. So I bet your core audience when you first started out was other digital forensic examiners, right?
For
But
sure.
you
For
have
sure.
probably attracted so many people into the industry from just education, right? What
Yeah.
is digital forensics and what can I do with this? So have you had a
Yeah.
lot of
Lots
folks
of
reach out to you with that?
student listeners for sure. Our number one episode, I did the Spotify year in review. Our number one episode is how to get into digital forensics. So people are definitely curious, like, what is the deal with it and how to get into it.
Yeah. Yeah. You have, I mean, I just like the endless amount of information that's out there. I love it. And the natural curiosity. I know that TikTok has definitely changed the game in terms of reaching younger audiences to pull them in, which is, I'm still getting the hang
I'm
of
not
it.
going to
So
TikTok. I'm not going to do it.
we're going to get her to do TikTok.
Becky.
Yeah, so
I
I
don't
just think it's really
TikTok.
neat because we have
I was like, I didn't think Becky TikTok
No, I don't.
either.
I don't TikTok either.
We're of
But
a
I
certain
think it comes
tick.
from the. I think it comes from working in the government for so many years,
Oh, yeah.
right? That you're like, okay, if they say no, you still don't do it, right? I don't know. It's probably safer than a lot of these other applications out there, but I don't know. I hadn't broken to TikToking yet.
Oh my gosh, there is actually a lot of good DFIR TikTok accounts on there
Oh.
that are just explaining like really quickly, like 10, 30 seconds of what a concept is or how a Faraday bag works and it's really interesting because if you look at the comments, I always, every time I find a video, I always immediately go to the comments, whether it's like a toxic trait of mine. I'm like, what are people saying?
I know.
So I go to the comments immediately, and some of the people are like, "Oh, actually, I did this one thing with tinfoil and this, that, and the other, and it block signals." I'm like, "Yes, that would work. That's a lot of tinfoil, right?" They didn't go into like the details of how many layers they had to wrap that sucker and just to block it out, but it was really interesting. It's just all the different accounts that are popping up now.
Yeah.
So it's neat. I like it. We're not
Okay,
doing like
well-
weird dances and stuff. I'm not a trendy
That would
person.
never happen.
I mean, we aren't either, but I'm not gonna lie. Next week's episode that drops, or is it this is this Thursday?
This week, I don't know
Thursday's
when your
episode
episode's coming about, but
that drops is very entertaining. You might as
Yes.
well put us on TikTok.
Well, I'm gonna clip it and put it on TikTok.
that's fine. You can do that. Clip it all
And
you
then,
want.
and then tell
Once
us
it's
about,
out there,
and-
it's yours to do with as you please.
That's right. And then tell us about the comments.
Okay, I will. Yeah, for sure. I always like if I know somebody too, and I'm like going through, I'm like, did you see these comments on here? They're like wild, and like, yeah, it was wild. So
Yeah.
people make all these crazy assumptions. So this is a holiday seasonal podcast. I only do it around Christmas time. A little spin on 12 days of Christmas. This is the only festive thing I got going on here, but Stacy, you look like you have a really festive sweatshirt.
Yep. I got my Disney shirt on. This is also featured in our Christmas episode. So Becky's got a matching one. She's just not wearing it today.
Yeah.
So I'm going to Pancakes with Santa right after this. So
Oh, that sounds good. Well, do you guys have a favorite holiday tradition that you look forward to every year?
My favorite holiday tradition is that, on Christmas Eve, my family gathers at my house and we have pizza and just laugh and reminisce about how where we are after this year, and talk about new things that are going to happen in our lives for next year. So Christmas Eve, eating pizza and getting ready for Christmas Day, because I host Christmas at my house with my family. So that's probably my tradition. Before my mother-in-law passed away, my husband had never woke up anywhere but his mother's house for Christmas Day. So up until she passed away, we would make sure that we were waking up at her house on Christmas morning.
So nice.
So now we just have our own little tradition of Christmas Eve, pizza, reminisce with the family.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Stacy, how about you?
Yeah, so for ours, we kick off the Christmas season in full stride on the Saturday after Thanksgiving with cookie baking. And I do it with my mom and my kids, and then all of my aunts, and then my cousins and their kids. So there's a whole bunch of us that take over my mom's kitchen, and we bake and bake and bake a bajillion different cookies. It's awesome.
How many cookies do you bake?
Like a 2-car garage full on tables.
Oh my
And-
gosh, I
and
could
more-
totally get behind that. Yes.
I was going to say, and more importantly, what do you do with the cookies?
Well, then we just split them all up amongst each other. So then you get to take home a whole bunch of different stuff. And some people eat it all. Some people give it to their friends. Some people freeze it, enjoy it all year long.
Oh, it's like a cookie
Nice.
exchange. Oh.
Yep.
Do you
But
have
you
like
just
the same recipes?
bring your stuff.
Or do you try like
Some of the
different
same
ones?
recipes. Some of the recipes come back every year. Sometimes we're trying some different stuff out, and then sometimes you're like, well, that didn't work out. And sometimes the cookies burn because you were busy because there's 40 million people and you were in the garage and you didn't know the timer was going off. And
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So what's your favorite one?
my favorite is my aunt's cookie recipe. It's just, we call it a cherry cookie, but it's got like this brown sugar cookie dough base, and then it's filled with cherry pie filling.
Oh.
And so top and bottom, and it's just delicious. And because you got to like roll them out and all that stuff, like don't make them that often because it takes a lot of steps. So it's just a special Christmas cookie that we make.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so good. I'm also really hungry, but also that sounds delicious.
So
Well,
do you,
the first year I made them on my own, single girl. So what glasses do I have that is round to use for cookie cutter? Pint glasses. Well, that is kind of like a big circle. So everybody laughed at when we were doing a different cookie exchange that they just got like mini cherry pies because they ended up being quite large.
Oh, whatever. They were still delicious.
right.
Yep.
So Amy, do you have a tradition?
So when growing up, we would always do like an Italian, kind of similar to pizza, like the night before, do something. We would go to like a Christmas Eve service, which is usually like candlelit, which is my favorite. I don't know why. It's like nostalgic and beautiful and wonderful. And then we would do like an Italian dinner of some sort. So whether that be lasagna or stuffed shells or manicotti. But we're actually not going anywhere. So this is my first blended family Christmas with my husband and his kids and my lunatic of a child. So I'm gonna attempt to do an Italian dinner, and we're gonna see. I say attempt because everyone has a, I like this and I like that. So we'll see how it goes. But
I'm sure it'll be great.
yeah, that's what we're looking for.
Well, we're doing Feliz Navidad for the big extended family. So it's Mexican theme for Christmas Day. So
Oh my gosh. That'll
bring
be
something
good.
that fits. It'll be fun.
All the
We'll see how
good
many
foods.
people read the Facebook announcement and bring Mexican stuff versus who brings like traditional.
You'll know who paid attention.
Well, that stupid Facebook algorithm, sometimes and most often it seems like you never see anything until like a week after the thing happened. So
Yeah, you have to
you
like.
might be having some mashed potatoes and some enchiladas. Who knows?
It's fine. It all tastes fine.
Yeah.
But I
Sounds
love
good.
roast
It
dinner
don't
things
matter.
anyways together.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really
Yeah,
appreciate
thanks for having
it.
us.
And we'll make sure, like in the show notes, we link your podcast there so everyone can catch up on all of the latest episodes. I know I have a list now that I need to go back and get caught up on. So,
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much, Amy. We appreciate this.
all right, thank you.
It's fun. Okay. Have a great
Thanks.
holiday.
Happy
Merry
holidays.
Christmas.